part of the show, Joy. All hour long, we have been teasing a special surprise performer for this one, just for her birthday. Here are a few hints, Joy. You ready?
Yeah.
He has sold 85 million albums nationwide. He's won a Grammy. He's won a Tony and an Emmy Award. And 20 years ago, you admitted that you can't smile without him.
Is it bad? Take a look. Is it bad? Ree? You know, as I'm sitting here and so close to you, I am totally smitten with you.
Me too.
Now I see why these people love you so much. I mean, there's something. There you go. It's so true.
Everyone, please welcome Barry Manilow.
That's so good of you to come here and not
Of course,
Thank
it's for
you.
you.
I really love
It's
it.
bad.
It's bad.
That's what you call it. So would you like to hear something?
Yes.
Call out a song. Want something? Call out a song. How about Looks Like We Made It. We left each other on. You like this one, right? To another love. You know this one? You're so young. Looks like we made it. Or I thought so till today. Until you were there everywhere. And all I could taste was love, the way we made it. Okay, all right. Okay, and then the very first one, oh Mandy, well you came and you gave without taking. Look at you. But I sent you away, oh Mandy. You kissed me and stopped me from shaking. And I need you today, oh Mandy. And then, what about, let's see if you know this one.
Oh, that's a good one. Yes.
Right? I write the songs that make the whole world sing. Very nice. I write the songs of love and special things. I write the songs that make the young girls cry. Very nice. I write the songs, I write the songs. Okay, and one more. At the Copacabana, you, the hottest spot north of Havana. At the Copacabana, music and fashion are always the fashion. At the Copa, don't fall in love, don't fall in love. And it goes.
We could listen to you all day, Barry. So you don't have any place to go, right? So many hits.
So many.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. I could stay here for a long time with all these things. You know what? I made it through the rain. I kept my world protected. That's a nice one too, right?
You also wrote commercials.
I wrote
What's
commercials
the famous
too.
commercial you wrote?
Let's see now. Whenever you're driving and wherever you're bound, like a good neighbor. And then I am stuck on a Band-Aid, and a Band-Aid stuck on me. I am stuck on a Band-Aid, and a Band-Aid stuck on me. And I don't remember the rest of it. But
Wow.
Wait a minute, I brought you a birthday present.
Oh, you did?
Because I'm doing 3 Christmas concerts, my first time ever doing Christmas shows in 3 cities, here in New York at the Nassau Coliseum. And then in Chicago, and then in L.A. I'm bringing snow and trees and kids and Santa Claus, and you'll love my new ballad version of I Had a Little Dreidel. You'll love that. Okay, so here's what I brought you. Wait a minute.
Oh, birthday present.
A mug.
Oh, good. I could always use a mug.
And wait a minute. Wait. This is a Christmas stocking, a hat.
You have to wear that.
And a stocking and a coloring book here.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh, she has a coloring book.
Yeah. And here's a hat. Here's 3 of my albums, and this is the jigsaw puzzle.
Oh,
and that's it.
Oh, good. It has my initials.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
And 3 Christmas CDs, and this one's for you. You know I can't smile without you. I can't smile without you. I can't laugh and I can't sing. I find it hard to do anything. You see, I feel sad when you're sad. I feel bad when you're glad. If you knew what I'm going through, I just can't smile without you. Came along just like a song and brightened my day. Couldn't believe that you were part of a dream. Now it all seems like years away. Come on, everybody. Now you know I can't smile without you.
I won't get on my head.
Smile without you. Can't laugh and I can't sing. I'm finding it hard to do anything. Say I feel sad when you're sad. I feel glad when you're glad. If you only knew what I'm going through, I just can't smile without you.
Our thanks to Barry Manilow. We can't smile without you, Barry. We'll be right back.
The party's not over yet, because Joy's got a big surprise that's gonna blow these very special guests away right after this. We're capturing all of our best moments on Instagram. Follow us at The View ABC if you're looking for a really sweet view.
That was a great birthday show so far, but people around here were asking me what I wanted for my birthday. So I said, I have enough stuff. I really do. I'm in the purging phase now. I want to get rid of stuff. And I wanted to give something back this year by highlighting a nonprofit organization I care a lot about. It's called The Retreat. I've mentioned it here before, and I've done a benefit for them, but they need more. They're a lifeline for those traumatized by domestic abuse and violence. I want you to take a look at a mother and daughter who endured the unthinkable. Watch.
I was holding my child in my arms, and I thought, he's going to shoot me, and I'm holding my 3-year-old girl. My husband was just having a meltdown, getting angry, screaming at us. Unfortunately, this time, he had gone downstairs and come back up with a gun. I said, are you going to kill me? And he said, I don't know what I'm going to do. He was getting the bullets. I grabbed her, got out the door. I ended up in court the next day getting an order of protection. A woman came to me as I waited in the court, and she said, hi, my name is Wendy. I'm from The Retreat, and I'm here for you today. And I thought, I don't know where you came from. I don't know who you are. I don't even know what The Retreat is. But I'm not letting go of you. They gave me my mother back.
I want you to meet some of The Retreat success stories, like Nicole, whom you just met in the video, and Amy. I also want you to meet some of the guardian angels who work at The Retreat, Executive Director Loretta Davis and staffers Vanessa, Mary Beth, Vicky. Ladies, come on up here. Hi, everybody. How are you all? These are the ones who really are on the front lines, you know? These are the people who do the work. We're just here doing a show. So thank you for all of your work and all the bravery that you put in there. I really appreciate it, and so do a lot of other people.
Thank you.
And Loretta, your organization has been helping people for over 30 years, by the way.
Wow.
30 years. And all the services are free. All the services are free. How do you do that?
So the way we really do that is through grants and through generous donors. We have a thrift store as well, but we really depend on the generosity of others and ambassadors like Joy.
Okay, but we wanted to help you continue that mission, so I invited Marjorie Schussel, the General Manager of Corporate Communications at Toyota. Marjorie, why do you want to be here today, aside from celebrating my birthday?
Hi, Joy. Of course we're all here to celebrate your birthday, but most importantly, this incredible organization that we all love. And today, I'm just so proud to be able to tell you that we are going to help you extend the free programming that you offer to all of your clients in need, including counseling and financial services, to the tune of $30,000.
She's the boss of the thing. When I visited the shelter, I asked what you needed the most. Remember that?
Right.
And you said a car to transport the clients to court interviews and school, amongst other places that they had to go, probably to get them out of the house, too, right? And I said, a car? Who am I, Oprah Winfrey? But I do know who to call, right, Marjorie?
That's right. Well, we're not just a car company. We're also a mobility company, and we're really focused on upward mobility. And we also want to help people go places regardless of their circumstance. So with that, I know that we have one more special surprise for you. I think it might be outside.
Paula, are you out there? Okay, open that box. It's a brand new van. Tell them about it.
Well, I'm going to ask the expert. Marjorie, what can you tell us about the van?
You're right. This is the brand new redesigned 2018 Toyota Sienna. It is built by 5,000 proud Americans in our plant in Princeton, Indiana. And it's got so many fabulous new features, as you can see, and most importantly, it seats up to 8 people, so that is going to get all of you where you need to go, to important doctor's appointments and everywhere else you need to be. And we're just so thrilled from the bottom of our hearts at Toyota to be here today to celebrate you. Thank you, Loretta, for your 30 years of just giving back to empowering women and really just making us all feel so proud.
This is incredible. Thank you.
I did peek in. It is fabulous. It is totally tricked out. It is fabulous. So now, Vicki, you're the shelter director. What will this do for your clients?
So this will transport our clients. We need to actually take our clients to court. We need to pick them up. We need them to take them to the doctor with all their kids. This is amazing. We had an old beat-up car, but we've never had a new car like this.
Also to the producers, especially Robin Hommel, who put this together. We'll be right back.
From ABC News.
And look at this image right here. His friends and colleagues, their hands over their heart. You may have disagreed with Senator McCain's politics. You may have agreed with them, but you could never doubt this man was a patriot, Cokie Roberts.
That's exactly right. And looking at that lineup of Democratic and Republican senators and some of their wives was really quite striking. But this whole ceremony of the role of the military is also something that is very impressive, of course, but so appropriate for John McCain, who was, of course, not only such a hero himself in the military, but the child of the military. You see sitting in the last picture you saw sitting in a wheelchair, Senator Tammy Duckworth, who was severely injured in the Iraq War, losing legs and an arm, and she has talked about what an inspiration John McCain was to her and how he always reached out to her and encouraged her, even though she was a Democrat, because he understood what she had suffered.
And Cokie, as we watch the Capitol Police Honor Guard take over for the Navy Honor Guard, I'm reminded of how many things happened in Senator John McCain's life for this moment right here to have not happened. He graduated at the bottom of his class at the Naval Academy. He loved to talk about, shot down, wanted to command an aircraft carrier. It didn't happen. He got into politics, and he led an incredible life. Let's listen in.
We give you thanks, Almighty God, for the appearance among us of great men and women who serve as inspirations for all Americans to be their best in service to God, country, and neighbor. This day, we honor a true American hero, Senator John McCain. He dedicated his entire life to public service as a vocation, first in the military and then in elected office. He placed himself directly in harm's way during the Vietnam War, and his great sacrifice of personal freedom is well known. As a senator, he served with honesty and integrity, working both with those with whom he agreed and many with whom he did not. His willingness to speak the truth as he understood it, even when it was not politically expedient to do so, proved to be a rare phenomenon. For that reason, it was all the more precious. As we continue this celebration of honor, grant that all who attend to these proceedings might transcend smallness and limitation and emerge as people desirous of being our best selves in service to all our brothers and sisters, as you might call each of us to be. Dear Lord, thank you for inspiring such greatness in Senator John McCain, and continue to bless the United States of America. Amen.
Mr. Vice President, Mr. Speaker, colleagues, distinguished guests, and the McCain family. It's an honor to welcome you this morning. We gather to recognize a great loss and celebrate a great life. We celebrate 6 decades of devotion to the American idea and the cause of human freedom. Generations of Americans will continue to marvel at the man who lies before us. The cocky, handsome naval aviator who barely scraped through school and then fought for freedom in the skies, who witnessed to our highest values even through terrible torture, and who became a generational leader in the United States Senate, where our nation heirs its great debates. Now, airing our great debates is the gentle way to describe how John approached the work of a senator. I've long joked that his guards at the Hanoi Hilton probably needed group therapy after John was finished with them. Well, let's just say there were times when some of his Senate colleagues were tempted to form a support group of our own. He treated every issue with the intensity the people's business deserved. He would fight tooth and nail for his vision of the common good. Depending on the issue, you knew John would either be your staunchest ally or your most stubborn opponent. At any moment, he might be preparing an eloquent reflection on human liberty or a devastating joke served up with his signature cackle and that John McCain glint in his eye. He had America's fighting spirit, our noble idealism, our solemn patriotism, and our slightly irreverent streak all rolled into one. I will miss a dear friend whose smile reminded us that service is a privilege, and whose scars reminded us of the great cost that brave souls pay for our freedom. John felt like family, but of course it is Cindy and Roberta and Joe and Doug, Andy, Sydney, Megan, Jack, Jimmy, and Bridget who could truly call this man their own. On behalf of the Senate and the entire nation, thank you. Thank you for lending him to us longer than we had a right. Thank you for supporting him while he supported us. Half a world away, wearing our nation's uniform, John McCain stood up for every value that this Capitol building represents. Then he brought that same patriotism inside its walls to advocate for our service members, our veterans, and our moral leadership in the world. So it is only right that today, near the end of his long journey, John lies here in this great hall, under this mighty dome, like other American heroes before him. Here, as a restless wave approaches the shores of eternity, we thank God for giving this country John McCain.
On behalf of a grateful nation and on behalf of Congress, I want to begin by giving thanks to the McCain family for your many years of service to our country. We share your anguish in losing this great man. Rarely does this glorious rotunda fall silent at this hour. On a day like this, John would usually be bounding this way or that way, right through here, visitors turning to each other, asking if that's who they think it is. But in this quiet hour, we are left to ponder how his life speaks to us. John McCain deserves to be remembered as he wished to be remembered. A patriot who served his country. A man, yes, of the Senate, but also a man of the House. A Navy man, a family man. A man who made an enormous difference in the lives of countless people. A man of conviction. A man of state. There's a line from his farewell statement that really just grabbed me. Our identities and sense of worth are not circumscribed but enlarged by serving good causes bigger than ourselves. That's John McCain. How fitting and how true. What stands out about John McCain is what he stood for. The rich blessings that only freedom can bestow. The sense of purpose that a battle joined can bring. The common humanity that burns in each of our hearts. Hemingway once wrote, "The world breaks everyone, and afterward, many are strong at the broken places." No one was stronger at the broken places than John McCain. The brokenness was his ballast. He never lost the joy that time can dull, or the edge that political life so often sands away. I myself, from time to time, found myself on the receiving end of John's distinct brand of candor. Happily so. I remember thinking more than once, yeah, he really does talk like a sailor. But you see, with John, it was never feigned disagreement. The man didn't feign anything. He just relished the fight. He showed us that in the arena, the honest back and forth, that's where the cause gets bigger. That's where the triumph is all the sweeter. We get stronger at the broken places. Though the highest office eluded him, he attained what is far more enduring: the abiding affection of his fellow citizens, and an example for future generations. So I think ahead now. I think ahead to the day when I, like so many, will bring my own children, and perhaps their children, to that hallowed lawn in Annapolis. I think about that. I think about what I might say to them. This is one of the bravest souls our nation has ever produced. However you choose to do your part, I hope you do it the way he did. With energy and urgency, playing for keeps, never back on your heels, never letting principle yield to expedience, resisting the false allure of the fleeting, and battening down the hatches when things get rough, and always, always having a really good story to tell. Today, our nation bows in grief. But here, under the work of Brumidi, and in the gaze of the greats, where soldiers known and unknown have laid before, we have this beautiful thing, the chance to do for this man what he did for us: to stand up and to embrace the cause of his life. No one of us can fulfill this charge, but all of us sure can try. Because all of this, it's worth fighting for. God bless John McCain. And God bless the country he so dearly loved.
And now Vice President Mike Pence.
Leader McConnell, Speaker Ryan, Leader Schumer, Leader Pelosi, distinguished members of Congress, members of the Cabinet, members of our armed forces, and honored guests, and most of all, to the McCain family, to Cindy, his children, and Mrs. Roberta McCain. It is deeply humbling to stand before you today at the United States Capitol to commemorate the life and service of an American patriot, Senator John McCain. The President asked me to be here on behalf of a grateful nation to pay a debt of honor and respect to a man who served our country throughout his life, in uniform and in public office. And it's my great honor to be here. In the long history of our nation, only 30 Americans have lain in state here in the United States Capitol Rotunda. Today, as a reflection of the esteem in which his colleagues and our country hold him, Senator John McCain joins those ranks. The son and the grandson of four-star admirals, John came from a family that prized military service. He entered the United States Naval Academy when he was just 17 years old. His service as a naval aviator took him around the world and eventually to the war in Vietnam. It was there, on his 23rd bombing run, that John was shot down and captured. Refusing early release for the sake of his comrades, he endured 5.5 years of confinement and torture. Then, as now, Americans marveled at the iron will of John McCain. But captivity did not diminish John's sense of calling or his commitment to mission. As he would later say, I fell in love with my country when I was a prisoner in someone else's. And after he made it home, John traded service in the uniform of the United States for service in Congress, exchanging the rank of captain for congressman and later senator. For 35 years, John served in these very halls, under this very dome. And he fought for what he believed in. In my years in Congress and as vice president, we didn't always agree either. And he almost always noticed. But his support for limited government, for tax reform, and support for our armed forces surely left our nation more prosperous and more secure, and he will be missed. As President Trump said yesterday, we respect his service to the country. Like many of you gathered here, I also had the privilege of traveling with Senator McCain to visit our troops overseas. Earlier this week, I told Cindy of a time on a trip through Iraq. After another 18-hour day, when I was literally falling asleep in the middle of a dinner with Iraqi officials. After the dinner, John, who was more than 20 years older than me, walked up, put his hand on my shoulder and said, Mike, we've got a few more meetings tonight, but why don't you turn in? You look like you could use some rest. Thanks, John. Honestly, seeing him downrange, I never traveled with a colleague who was better to our enlisted or harder on our generals. John McCain loved the men and women who served in the uniform of the United States, and he was a champion of our armed forces throughout his career. In every generation, there are those who put country first, who prize service ahead of self, who summon idealism from a cynical age. John McCain was such a man. Today, he lies in the place where he served to the last, the Congress of the United States. Soon, he will go to rest on the grounds where he served first, the United States Naval Academy. The eyes of the American people will be upon him as he goes. And so too will their prayers for him, and especially for his beloved family gathered here today. And we will pray that those who mourn shall be comforted. So we mourn with those who mourn, and we grieve with those who grieve, but we do not grieve like those who have no hope. Because John McCain, like millions of Americans, held firm to that hope from an old hymn that became the title of a book he wrote some 20 years ago, Faith of Our Fathers. The full stanza of that hymn reads, faith of our fathers living still, in spite of dungeon, fire, and sword. Oh, how our hearts beat high with joy whene'er we hear that glorious word. John McCain held firm to that faith, the faith of his fathers, through dungeons, fire, and sword. And he held fast to his faith in America through 6 decades of service. We gather here today to honor an American patriot, served a cause greater than himself. And we gather here remembering a man who knew how he wanted to be remembered. And so let me say to all those gathered and his beloved family, on behalf of a grateful nation, we will ever remember that John McCain served his country, and John McCain served his country honorably. May God bless the memory of John McCain. May God comfort his family and friends. And may God continue to bless the United States of America.
We were just listening to Vice President Mike Pence deliver his remarks at the ceremony there in the Rotunda. The Vice President saying, quote, he will be missed, and sending this message from the President: we respect his service to the country. We now expect Senator Mitch McConnell and Senator Chuck Schumer to both together, and in a sign of bipartisanship, this is something that Senator McCain wanted. It breaks protocol. He wanted them both to lay this wreath together as a testament to his fight to sometimes compromise and work together in the Senate. Senator Schumer, of course, also a very close friend to Senator McCain, and now House Speaker Paul Ryan, who also spoke, will deliver a wreath from the House, where Senator John McCain served 2 terms before he entered the Senate. The House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi will also be joining the House Speaker. And now representing the White House, Vice President Mike Pence and his wife Karen. I want to bring back in our Jonathan Karl and Cokie Roberts. And John, as we were watching this, I was thinking we're about to head into the Labor Day weekend for many Americans, even though there will be more ceremonies honoring Senator McCain. This may be one of the last moments they see. And what they saw was people from both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, coming together to lay down that wreath. And, of course, Vice President Mike Pence, and not the President, to represent the White House.
And I think, Tom, a memorial, a remembrance that John McCain would say, greater than himself. This was about something larger than John McCain. And I saw something I've never seen before. I saw Mitch McConnell choking up as he spoke about John McCain, somebody he fought with bitterly, especially on campaign finance reform, which was the signature issue for John McCain. McConnell was the guy on the other side. And to see the way he touched Mitch McConnell, you know, hardened political figure. I just want to, as a closing thought, Tom, read you something that McCain wrote at the close of his last book. He said, I've lived very well, I've been deprived of all comforts, I've been as lonely as a person can be, and I've enjoyed the company of heroes. I've suffered the deepest despair and experienced the highest exaltation. I wish all of you great adventures, good company, and lives as lucky as mine.
An incredible statement. Cokie Roberts, I was struck by House Speaker Paul Ryan. In his remarks, he said we get stronger at the broken places, talking about Senator McCain, his time in that POW camp. But then he also said Senator McCain didn't win the presidency, but he will be an example of future generations, to future generations.
Well, that was another broken place, and I think that that was a very eloquent testimony. And looking at this, seeing John McCain's 106-year-old mother throughout this, nothing is harder than to lose a child, no matter how old you are and how old he was. It must have been terribly painful, but also the incredible gathering there, not just of members of Congress of both parties and past members of Congress of both parties, but cabinet members, former cabinet members from several administrations, Supreme Court justices. As I looked around that room, all of officialdom of the last 30 years was really gathered in that rotunda. And now they will leave and the public will come. And that in a big way is the most fitting testimony. The American people who he served for so long and so nobly will now have their chance to come in one by one and say goodbye to John McCain.
John and Cokie, our thanks to you, and our thanks to all the viewers who are witnessing this moment in history with us. As we mentioned when we started this broadcast, Senator McCain never became a president, but today he is being treated like he should, like he deserved, like a head of state. We're going to return to regular programming now. We'll have much more on World News Tonight, and please join us tomorrow morning when George Stephanopoulos leads our full coverage of the memorial service for Senator John McCain at the National Cathedral. That's going to start at 9 o'clock as we end now with Cindy McCain looking over the casket of her husband, Senator John McCain. That's 106-year-old Roberta McCain saying goodbye to her son right there as the McCain family says goodbye to their patriarch there in the rotunda at the U.S. Capitol. This wraps up our coverage. We'll have much more on World News Tonight. We thank you for witnessing this moment with us. I'm Tom Llamas. Have a great day.
This has been a special report.